We're doing things a little differently today for reasons which you're soon going to understand clearly. I'm going to start this show by thanking my sponsors and with our sponsors because we only have 50 minutes with Glenn and I want to use it efficiently. And then we'll get to the fun stuff afterwards. People, as the Biden administration's New Year's goals of tax and spend and turn a blind eye to inflation, well, they're at odds with your investment secured savings. People, I can't. I'll have to move off script just a tad. Everybody, um, my father always said growing up, it's hard to make money and it's easy to lose it. Um, One way that it's easy to lose it, I was just looking through my portfolio today. Tesla's back up, which is good. But one way that's easy to lose it, um, bad stocks. In my life, Bitcoin. One way that's easy to make sure that you don't make anything off of it and just lose money year over year through inflation, plug it in a bank account. Put in $100 now. In a year from now, it's worth $92. The best way, or at least a historically time-tested way to save money, make money securely. You won't 10x it, but you won't 10x lose it. Gold. Birch Gold is a company. It'll help convert your IRAs and 401ks into precious metal 401ks. There is something to be said about it's idolatry. I recognize it, but there is something to be said about holding a hard gold coin. My experience is more with silver dollars because that's more in my range for the time being. But there's something beautiful about holding it. You're buying a stock in something. You can convert your investments into precious metals. Less volatile, but there's a reason why they have historically gone up in value for the last several thousand years, why gold has always been the standard of investment. A plus rating with Better Business Bureau. Thousands of happy customers because at the end of the day, it's a service and Birch Gold is the best. Countless 5-star reviews. Secure your future with gold. Start today with a free intro kit. Zero obligation, but go to birchgold.com/Viva. Hold on. What did the Viva? The Viva does something. Free info kit. Check it out. Gold will always be good. And, even when it's not so good, it's still better than the alternatives. And, go sit on $100. It's not going to be worth $100 tomorrow, especially the way our respective governments are spending and burning money. I just don't think Birch sends mails to Canada. So birchgold.com/Viva. Surefire way to hedge your bets, especially in times of inflation. You can't eat gold, nor can you eat Bitcoin, because at the end of the day, everything needs to be bartered down into the Maslow's theory of what you need in life: food, shelter, necessities. You can hold gold, and it has proven to be far more reliable. The second sponsor of today's show, another product that I actually regularly use myself, Field of Greens, powdered greens. I was listening to the way Joe Rogan, talks about these things. This is an easy thing to work with as a sponsor. It's an easy sponsor. It's something that I use. It's something that I do. I happen to eat a lot of vegetables and fruits, nonetheless, raw with a little bit of olive oil, salt and pepper out of the can. Most people don't know that you're supposed to have 5 to 6 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. And most people don't have 5 to 6 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. Most people are not as healthy as they should be. They don't get the exercise that they should, and they don't eat the way that they should. The Pediatrics Association seems to think that medication and surgery is the solution. Diet, exercise, healthy living. Medicine cannot always do better for you than what your own body can do. Eat healthy. If you can't get your 5 to 6 servings of raw fruits and vegetables a day, as most people don't, Field of Greens, it is a desiccated vegetable. Desiccated fruits and vegetables with all of the nutrients, powdered, pulverized. It's not a supplement. It's not an extract. 1 spoonful tastes good. Looks like swamp water, which is nutritious, but it tastes good. Goes down easy. 1 spoonful twice a day, which is what the serving says to do. 1 spoonful is 1 serving of the fruits and vegetables. Fieldofgreens.com will bring you to Brickhouse Nutrition. Promo code VIVA. You'll get 15% off your first order, 10% off a subscription. It's good. It's a healthy alternative to bad habits. I am weaning out the energy drinks. Been reading some articles about how energy drinks are associated with heart conditions in young people. So I'm going to weed that out anyhow because it's a bad habit and weed in a good habit. fieldofgreens.com. A spoonful twice a day. It'll get your water. It'll get your antioxidants of the superfruits and vegetables that's in there. Made in America, USDA organic. Good stuff. Something that I work with, and I like them very much. To both Birch Gold and Field of Greens, thank you. Good stuff that I work with. And thank you for having the courage and the audacity of sponsoring the hinged, fringed minority with unacceptable views. People, for a second, I just got totally terrified that I hadn't actually started the stream. It's going to be amazing. For those of you who don't know who Glenn Greenwald is, what's beautiful about the tremendous good fortune that I have in this passion having become a living, my ikigai, is I have always been interested in this stuff. I've always been fascinated, impassioned by it. Been living in a bit of self-imposed prison for, of the better part of a decade, from 2010 to 2020, where I didn't want to express my opinion. I didn't want to make enemies. And then, sure enough, you figure out even through silence and passivity, you make enemies. So you may as well make enemies to the extent you're going to make them for the right reasons. I've been listening to Glenn Greenwald's interviews over the last couple of days. I watch his show. He's got a nightly show on Rumble exclusive now. He is a fascinating individual. I mean, I've got some questions as to how someone does what he does without fear. We'll see if I hate asking that question, but I'm going to ask it. But for those of you who don't know, and until Glenn gets here, I'll give you the brief bio. I think he used to consider himself a lefty, but I now know, having watched a number of interviews, that I think we share a great many philosophies, that this left versus right dichotomy, it's a fabricated dichotomy. It's a dichotomy of convenience, both for simplicity of thought and for simplicity of judgment. Are you left or are you right? And then I'll know if we're tribalist enemies, and I'll hate everything you have to say or love everything you have to say. Are you left or are you right? So that I can know, if we find classified documents in your basement, it's an accident. But if I find classified documents in a secure location there, it's treason. Left versus right has no meaning anymore also, because from the individual's perspective, it allows you to say, okay, well, this is how I should feel about these things, and I don't have to critically assess. I think he did, however, consider himself to be of the Democrat left, and I don't think they consider himself to be that anymore. Glenn, very interesting stuff. Like, I never even knew this, but studied philosophy, like me. Then went into law, or then studied law, like me, then started working at a law firm, like me, then left and went on his own, like me, then ended his private practice to get into journalism. That's where I think we our paths, the similarity of our journeys ends. And he is, look, I know people find a way to hate and criticize and find fault with everybody, but to say he's a preeminent journalist is an understatement. I got so many questions. I mean, he broke exclusive stories with documents provided by Edward Snowden. Historically critical of the Bush administration. He was a civil rights attorney and was very concerned about. I'm just going to go DM him and make sure. Oh, he's got it. Okay, civil rights attorney, concerned with civil rights overreach at a time when I was stupid. Young, dumb, and I'm not gonna finish that quote for anybody who gets the movie reference, but young and dumb. I was so young and dumb, I still believed that the weapons of mass destruction, I'll qualify it as a lie now, was truth. I believed the weapons of mass destruction. And then, because I was young, dumb, and naive, I also believed the moving target. Oh, well, he doesn't have weapons of mass destruction, but he has weapons that he wasn't supposed to have. Let me just text me here. We're live. All good on your end. Oh, he doesn't have the weapons of mass destruction that we said he had, but they have Scud missiles, and they weren't supposed to have those. So our invasion of a foreign country that killed 250,000 civilians at least. I was like, okay, well, I believe the explanation. Being so dumb and so naive that I didn't even realize that at the time, Bush could have had 2 expert reports from all the intelligence agencies. That was the catchphrase at the time. How little things have changed. We've got intelligence from CIA, FBI, MI6, whatever the French one is. I don't know if they were working with the KGB back then. And I believed it because I was young and I was dumb. I'm going to have to change my Twitter profile to no matter how cynical you are, you're still being naive. So we're going to do it. I see Glenn's in the background right now. Glenn, get ready. Bringing you in 3, 2, 1. Sir, how you doing?
Doing great. Sorry I'm late. It's everybody else's fault. My assistant, my teams, everybody but mine. I just want the record to reflect that, but I'm glad to be with you.
And don't worry about it, because I got through the first 5 minutes of what I would have asked you in any case, which was your professional, your training and your professional progression in life. Glenn, ordinarily, I would dive into childhood. I won't do it this time, but if you could give us an idea, born, raised parents, what your childhood was like in order to understand how you have become who you are today.
Sure. So I was born in New York, but my parents moved when I was an infant to South Florida, which is where I grew up in the kind of suburbs of Fort Lauderdale. And my parents divorced when I was very young, like a lot of couples in the early 70s did. And, I would describe my upbringing as basically kind of like working class, lower middle class. My mother was a single mother. She worked at McDonald's and those kind of hourly wage jobs to support us. And my father was a nice, good, involved father, but he was on his third marriage very quickly and didn't make a lot of money to begin with. And 3 wives means that you don't have many resources. But I had decent parents. I think the predominant part of my childhood is realizing that I was gay. It was in the, early 1980s. I was 13 in 1980 when the AIDS epidemic began. That was the year Ronald Reagan was elected. There was a lot of social conservatism that was predominant in our politics. And so the first kind of awareness I had of even being gay was associated not with a spiritual sickness, but with a literal sickness. Made me question a lot of things about pronouncements of authority. When society condemns you, you can either like internalize that and hate yourself or kill yourself, or you can try and prove to society that they shouldn't hate you by being very kind of pleasing and appeasing and, sort of the Pete Buttigieg route. Or you can, start questioning authority and asking what their credibility is for having judged you in this manner, and instead turning the light not on yourself, but back on them. And I think that ended up being my strategy and ended up, kind of shaping how I look at a lot of things. And I kind of see that, even though it involved a lot of struggle, et cetera, as kind of a blessing, because I think it taught me, to question things. And when you have this rockier path, oftentimes you develop a lot of skills that you would be without if your path were smoother.
Were you a troublemaker growing up as a kid?
Yeah, I was a huge troublemaker. I was constantly suspended, from like junior high, and then like more serious things in high school. I almost didn't graduate. Yeah, I mean, that was my anti-authoritarianism finding expression, not yet against power centers, but against, my middle school chemistry teacher or the high school principal. One time my best friend and I went to our school in the middle of the night, and this was, before everything was surveilled, so you could actually still do things about detection. I know it's shocking to realize that there was actually a recent moment in our history where you could actually do things without constantly being monitored, but you could. And we spray painted the entire school with the most obscene and vulgar and offensive things we could possibly think of. And then I made sure that they knew that it was me, but only to the extent that they were just short of being able to prove it, so that I was able to deny it with this huge smirk, knowing that they knew I did it, but not being able to prove it and just refusing to admit it. So that was the kind of mischief that I often found myself into. Yeah, that was, I think, like the way my anti-authoritarianism, was sort of a vehicle for that.
That's fantastic. I mean, it's phenomenal, just because I was just mentioning the similarities. We both studied philosophy, both went into law, both went to a big firm, then both started on our own. I was also a pain in the ass troublemaker, and I did something equally stupid, but even more stupid. I defaced it and then wrote my name, so it was much tougher for the it was much tougher.
You authored your work. You authored your work. I was the anonymous coward.
Well, I took a hockey puck and like wrote all over the hockey rink, and then I put my name like an idiot. Glenn, I'm going to end this on YouTube, and we're going to go over exclusively to Rumble. It changes nothing from us, but I want to bring it exclusively to Rumble for the real stuff. Removing people, the link is in the pinned comment.